Hi, I'm Amanda. I'm a fake geek girl. I'm just kidding. Hello. It's an ongoing joke my friend and I have that I'm a fake geek girl. Okay. Hello, I am Amanda Van Heil from Zelda Universe. That's it. I'm from Zelda Universe.
I'm Oliver. I am a fake geek guy, and I have been berated for a Zelda fan film that I made on YouTube. So if you haven't checked it out, go and watch it. And if you like it, click the like button. If you don't like it, click the like button. Ironically. So.
Hi, and I am Jesse. I also work at Zelda Universe. Not much variety in here.
I'm Simon. I'm working on some personal projects, but I don't call any company home right now.
When anybody talks about a gap in my CV, that's exactly what I'm telling them. Just working on some personal
projects. Yeah, personal projects.
Oh, I did the Zelda video that people like to slag me off with on my comment section. It was a great experience. I can understand why people get like really bogged down, like get really depressed, because they come so thick and fast. Like on the Saturday, it went viral, but it was kind of like a cold viral. As in, it went viral for one day, and then modern medicine came along and kicked its ass for the rest of the week before it died. And I was kind of like, oh shit, it's just. It wasn't the comments were really bad, but it was so many of them going through thick and fast. I was just like, what? It's crazy. I was pretty pleased when it stopped going viral. I was like, I won't get hundreds of thousands of hits, but at least I won't commit suicide. So
that's good. That's important.
Awesome. Amanda's back just in time.
Yeah, it conked out on me all of a sudden. It was really weird.
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel a lot of pressure now.
Yes,
hello, people listening. Keep listening.
Yeah, it's up to you to keep the viewers.
Yeah. Okay.
All right. So to start out, just what inspired you to start your little Zelda video?
Apart from playing the games, it started when I was at uni, and I had some friends on the game course. I was on the film course, and I turned around and I kind of was like. Drunken one night, staggering out of a bar with someone, and I said, "You know what would make a really good film? The Legend of Zelda." And he's like, "No, there's not enough story in there. Literally, it would be really boring for 1.5 hours." And I was like, "You're completely wrong." In my pretentious filmmaker way, I felt the feelings when I played the game. If you can feel it, you can put it on the screen. And then I went home. Played Ocarina of Time. I dug out my old GameCube. I had the little Master Quest version. Played it, and I was like 20 minutes in going, oh shit, there's really no story here at all. So then, it just rested in the back of my head for a while. And then I came up with the ending, which Jesse has read my first draft random using. And I kind of was like, if I can create a mediocre film up until this point, this will be really worthwhile. This will be a really good film. And so then it just rested for a while and for a long time. And then I kind of had a film that I was really pleased with. Didn't get into any festivals. I was like, well, I don't feel like I've got more to offer. I'm pretty happy with this work. Other people are happy with it. It's not getting into festivals. What am I going to do next? Looked at Ori in the film, who then plays Link in Zelda. I said, he kind of looks like Link. Let's just go and do this. Let's just go do this movie. I don't see anything wrong with that. There will be no problems with doing it. Let's go and do it. And then I was like, well, I've already done the hardest thing. I found someone who looks like Link to do it for no money and for free. This is fantastic. And then realized I didn't have anyone else to do anything else with. So I kind of looked at what I wanted to put together, and originally I wanted to put together a trailer and a scene. And the scene was kind of what it ended up turning out being was, could you make the drama interesting? Could you make a conversation interesting between two people? I think we've done a pretty good job. Yeah. I look forward to reading the comments of the people who disagree with me. But I do think we've done a pretty good job. And it was never really an extract. I've called it an extract because I think that kind of when you click on it and you can kind of understand what it is or like that. But it's kind of random bits from different parts of the script that we could physically shoot together.
Right.
And then it was supposed to accompany the script. And then I wanted to do the trailer to do the spectacle and the world, kind of special effects. And then we tried to price that up, and that was just kind of that was in a different league. So that's how it started.
Alright, when you first messaged Zelda Universe to write an article about your video, were you surprised by how many views it started to get?
Yeah. I mean, well, when I first messaged you, I was just happy with a post on the Facebook thing, because I have about 6 followers, and one of those is my mum. So it's kind of like no one was going to see this film. I was never going to get these hundreds of thousands of views I imagined getting when I first made this, and I didn't even get there in the end. But the idea was, if you could just post it on the site, and then maybe people will see it pop up on their Facebook page, and then maybe it will start to get a life of its own. And so it was very kind of you, and thank you very much for writing an article on it, because I was just going, oh wow, I feel like a proper filmmaker. And so yeah, it was good. It was because the first night, it started slowly before it then accelerated on the Saturday, because it was Friday night here when it went out. So then I went to sleep, and it was like a couple of people kind of, oh, I really liked it. And I was like, okay, it started slowly, but if it's this positive all the way through, I'm happy. I'm like, I could take 100% success rate and just have less views. That's fine. And then I went to sleep. I get up, and it's like the nightmares had crawled out of my brain and into the computer and decided to berate me. And I was just like, oh, hello. That's nice. And I wake up to Ori texting me his favorite insults. He loved them. He was just like, my favorite is, he looks like he's 40 and on drugs. That was his personal favorite. But that was on one of the Informer blogs. And so we kind of looked at all of the, I've read pretty much a lot of the comments. I haven't read all of them on some of the external ones, but I read all the ones on YouTube. So if you're watching and you said nice things, thank you very much. And if you're watching and you said nasty things, I understand your pain. But no, I get it. People are passionate. I mean, I really, you make it for people like, and you hope people. But I get that people are passionate. I get passionate about things, and because I can't really get too angry.
Wait, I'm sorry to interrupt you. There's background noise coming from somebody.
It might be me.
It was kind of drowning out what you were saying there at the last second.
Did it stop?
Yeah, I don't.
I can hear a blue.
I can kind of hear it.
Is that changing it?
I mean, it's less. I mean, I suppose I can.
Would it be possible, Simon, for you to mute your microphone until you want to say something?
Yeah. Yes. That is possible.
We'll see if that will help really quick.
Hopefully. Let's see. Here, I think I can change locations, maybe.
A little technical difficulty that'll be edited out
don't
of the
care,
video.
I like this. This is like a walk and talk house. This is really high-end production value. I also wanted to say, look at the production value I have offered for this thing. I've made the bed, and that adds to this value. No, this is like a humble crap. Yeah.
I came this close to sitting on my bed and doing this, and I decided, you know what? I'll actually sit on the couch.
I said they were trying to just find like pictures to just stick up there. It's gonna get all my film lights up, make myself look sexy.
I believe you can see Mickey Mouse behind me.
I love Mickey Mouse. I love Disney so much.
Alright. Sorry about making you move, Simon.
Oh, it's fine. Did that take care of the noise?
It did.
Okay. I figured it was probably me.
Alright, Oliver, would you like to continue with what you were saying?
Yeah. What was I saying? Oh yeah, like a lot of the comments that kind of when you make a film, you just want people to say, "I loved the film," and if they don't say that, it's kind of like, oh, I feel like a knife through my heart. But no, I get it. A lot of it was pretty kind of fair. A lot of it was it was all about should Link speak or not speak primarily. There was one guy who actually hated the film so much. I kind of respect him a little bit for it because he swore, he just hated it. It was just, and it got flagged up. It was so offensive. It got flagged up as spam. So and literally YouTube was like, "Do you want to approve this message?" And I was kind of like, I haven't got that many comments yet. I'll wait till I get a few more and then bury it and then approve it. So technically I haven't done anything wrong, but so yeah.
What could we be expecting from you in the future in terms of other projects you're working on?
I might be doing a Kickstarter campaign. That's what everybody's doing, really, at the moment. Kind of looking at kind of like it's an angels and demons thing, but it's a modern thing. Looking at the idea of mixing. This is gonna get loads of people to hate it already. So I'm used to that by now. But the idea of taking religion and putting it with kind of modern science, the idea of heaven being a different universe within a multiverse, and the idea that reality is much bigger than we know. It comes with certain compromises on the religious ethics kind of thing with it, but it's the idea that it's kind of faith for a new generation, if that makes sense, with you kind of people growing up and they get string theory a lot, while they're in schools, maybe it's not taught, and then it's kind of this faith thing that kind of has this rich culture that I really wanted to explore. I'm not a religious person. I don't believe in God. So it's a very interesting thing to then start writing a story about, and you get a different take on it. And we'll see if it's good. But that, I don't know if I'll get. I basically said I need 25 grand to do a Kickstarter campaign. I need a Kickstarter campaign to do a Kickstarter campaign. But the idea is I wanted to do a good job. I wanted something close to $1 million. We're looking at 750,000 to make a feature, but I wanted it to be fully polished, fully done. Get the right locations, make a movie that you'd want to watch at home. That would be the idea. Instead of going, hey, fund this thing. It's kind of low budget, but we did it on Kickstarter, and I didn't really want to do that. So I said, if we can get 25 grand. Spend 20 just on promoting and get out there, and then trying to get people to blog about it, and then try to get and so we get enough exposure that people can fund it through Kickstarter and get all of the tiers. But yeah.
All right. Amanda, Simon, do any of you have any questions about the Zelda film?
I think it sounds like a really cool project. I thought it was interesting though how you were saying how there's not really all that much of a story, because to me the Zelda series carries an excellent story, and Ocarina, for example, it's the essence of just an adventure. But I get what you're saying, how there's not like a whole lot of development in Ocarina. Yeah. It's not as character driven as a lot of the others.
No, I oversimplified it. I did this the other day, and I was just like, when I kind of like just simplify things very quickly, when you're talking to friends who are filmmakers, and then they go, oh, I know what you mean. And you talk to people who just like don't do it every day, all the time. You're on the phone to them every day, and they're like, what do you mean by this? And you can like, oh, right, okay, let me clear that up. No, yeah, it does have a lot of story. And I think the end cutscene, the final cutscene is really, really good. Mm-hmm. But it was kind of plot action that I'm talking about. So we're not talking about character, we're not talking about a lot of the others. That does develop story and is very important to storytelling. But it was kind of more that whole kind of, plot point.
It was definitely more adventure driven, unlike Majora's Mask, which is more character driven.
Yeah. And it was kind of like the idea, why I kind of made some of the changes that I made was, my idea was to do like, when comic books, they retell the whole story and then they change everything and they mix and match it to make it more exciting and give people different pleasures and realize different tones that maybe weren't in the original thing. So my idea in kind of saying I'd like to see a Legend of Zelda film was never to replace Ocarina of Time, was kind of to give the visual feeling that you wanted in the 90s that we never got. But kind of now, and kind of say, like, this is where storytelling has moved on. We're in a different climate. And to write something that's really interesting, because game films don't really have a great track record, so I think if you're not focusing on making it really interesting, then it's going to make it much harder.
But I will say, I think that's really starting to be a kind of a hybrid form of entertainment, whereas you're playing more games are coming out with more advanced cutscenes, where it's basically like you were playing a movie, and I feel like that's going to be a new type of game. I would call it a cinematic game, whereas you would do a few sequences, you shoot some people, you kill people, whatever, and then you get to a cutscene and you keep going forward to see what happens next. And that I think is something that the gaming is moving towards.
You just explained The Last of Us.
I was about to say The Last of Us. I was refraining from saying that because I have a lot I could talk about that one, which I love the game. But right now I don't want to take away from yours right now.
No, that's fine. No, because I haven't played The Last of Us yet, and people have said that's really good. But I played only very recently, like within the last month, the reboot of the Tomb Raider franchise.
Okay.
And I kind of loved the gameplay. It can't be too bad a game. I played it twice back to back because I missed something, and I was like, got the silenced pistol right at the end, and I was like, I really wanted to shoot some people with that. And so I played it all again, so got the silenced pistol as early as possible, and shot everybody with it. But I was very disappointed with kind of the level of storytelling in it, like within the cutscenes. I was kind of disappointed with the mocap, the level of mocap that was in it, and I just thought that the gameplay was so good that the story didn't make me feel anything, even at the end. I kind of wanted these emotions and tones, and it felt like people had gone into a meeting and said, you know what we can do? We can do shallow depth of field, and we can do action scenes, and we can do dynamic camera moves, and it's just like, okay, yeah, that is great, and I do love all of that stuff, but I needed more for 2 days. If I'm playing a game for 2 days, I kind of need, judge me all you want on how bad I am at playing games. But if I'm there for such a long time to kind of just put it together, I kind of need something more to kind of drag me all the way to the end.
You need a story.
Really funny. Oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
I was going to say you just need a story to help drive the game forward.
Yeah.
And it's funny though that Tomb Raider, of all the video game movies, that one did a lot better than like so many, like the Mario Brothers movie from forever ago, because I really enjoyed the Tomb Raider movies. My mom even likes the Tomb Raider movies. Like every time it's on, she watches it.
Oh yeah, but I think that the visualization of the Tomb Raider is close to the game. Well, I didn't even, and I remember being in primary school, going to see, this is part of the reason I wanted to make a Zelda movie, was I went to see Mario at the cinema in primary school. I remember thinking, it was like, I didn't really like that movie. But The Legend of Zelda will be really good. I can't wait till The Legend of Zelda comes out. I would love to watch that movie. And then they never made that movie. So in this kind of bitter attempt going, I will make this movie, I kind of tried to start stuff happening. I still think Nintendo feel a little burned by that. I had no idea why there was a Velociraptor running around in the Mario movie.
Right.
Yeah.
It's very un-Yoshi-like, really, to be fair.
Yeah,
I just remember seeing it being so confused, going, that's not Yoshi. What is this? No, this isn't right.
And the guys with the really small heads, what were they about?
I have no idea.
They were
None of that made
evolved
sense.
humans, if I remember correctly.
Oh, I watched the trailer again the other day. Was it really as bad as I remember? I was like, oh no, it was worse.
Much worse.
Yeah. I was wanting to ask, after you first completed the Legend of Zelda fan film, or at least the scene that you were working on, what was going through your mind? Like, what was in your head that you had to do next? Were you planning to show it to Nintendo immediately? Were you trying to use it for a Kickstarter, or
we going back and forth with the idea of doing a Kickstarter, and then realised that probably using their IP and then asking them to use their IP later might not be the most brilliant of ideas there. I kind of went through a weird phase while finishing it, and I was editing it, I showed it to a couple of friends, and we didn't have music on at this point, and we were kind of like, we didn't know if it was enough to get people excited about it. Like we're just like, it's a scene with two people talking across a table. I didn't even have the special effects of the candle. We didn't even know if they were going to be any good. We didn't even know if the second half of the scene was going to be used, because like I could literally cut it before the special effects and say, have 2 minutes, if that was it. So I kind of heard that Netflix were going off. So there's this rumor that had gone around, and I was like, well, if I'm going to do anything, I have to do it now. So I spent like a month finishing everything off, doing all the special effects. And then kind of said, with my experience of kind of going to companies and trying to email through main reception hasn't been great. So I thought I need to give this some validity. I kind of wanted to try and get Nintendo to contact me. I thought that'd be easy. If I want to speak to Nintendo, get them to call me. Well, why don't we do that? So I then kind of said, let's put it online. Let's see what it gets. But I was at the point of where I didn't think anybody was going to watch it. And, you know, I was going to roll the dice and get snake eyes, and that's exactly what I thought was going to happen.
Right.
And so I just said, we'll put it out, we'll see what happens. Maybe Netflix will see it, and they'll give me a job, or Nintendo will see it, and the rights haven't been assigned yet. Because one of the things I was thinking about the rumor was, had the rights been assigned? Because they didn't say in the rumor that they had the rights. They didn't have a script, they didn't have a director attached. I kind of, with all of my experience in making films, had said unequivocally, Netflix did not have the rights. Hands down, I would swear on my own grave. And then I know fate likes to come along and then kick me in the teeth, and then they probably did have it, because I was so sure that they didn't have the rights, they probably had it. And so I was kind of like, so I've got to just try and get something out there and see if something happens with it. And hopefully that will kind of move stuff forwards and kind of say, well, like, I've got a script, you don't have a script yet, and I have a proof of concept scene, and you don't have one of those. It's worth a 15-minute meeting, you know. If that's all that happens, then that's all that happens.
Right. A question that I know Amanda would like is, throughout the script of your movie, did you ever conceive a relationship between Link and Zelda?
Yeah.
Yes!
I noticed, because this is one of the things you want to talk about later, but yeah, like the relationship is very specific in this. I changed, this is when fans will now start to berate me in the comment section, but I changed what the sword was to give the story more depth. Basically, I said that the sword is indestructible like it is in the game, and to make it indestructible, I like making decisions in my films where I make one decision that do multiple things. So if I had a superhero, I would give them one genetic mutation that would manifest as multiple powers, because that's how the physics of it work. And so to make the sword indestructible, I said that it was woven through the very fabric of time. It's not actually the materials that make it indestructible, it's the fact that because of its temporal properties, if it was broken, it would already be broken. And so that's the idea. So that's the idea that when Link touches it when he's 10 years old, his essence is bound to the sword, and then he runs off and lives his life. He grows up with the princess, falls in love, and then dies saving her life. And then she drags him back to the sword, pulls his 10-year-old essence out into his body. And this gave me this dynamic of, she saw her old boyfriend, and he didn't know who she was. And so it really made a more complex story as he goes through this. What is he going through? What's this journey he's going through? It's not just a chosen one story and a big battle at the end. There were all these character things. There's the idea that the citizens of Hyrule are like a kind of crowd in the background, that they cheer the hero when he's doing well, and when he's no longer useful, they will make a statue, but that's as far as it goes. They'll let him, you know, fade into the background. And so that was kind of like, I really wanted all of these complexities with all the characters. I wanted to have deep characters, not necessarily kind of overworked, but just when they went through stuff, everything influenced every other decision. And so that's kind of why I made that decision. But, you know, there will be people who like that and people who don't like that. They'll say they're supposed to be together or they're not supposed to be together.
People get very passionate over that, believe me.
Oh, yeah, I know, yeah. And it's kind of been interesting. I mean, what I thought was very interesting about the people talking about him not talking, it was, I made this decision very early on. Obviously, for me, making a film, having him talk is a lot easier because it's a lot easier to do those scenes. What we haven't said, really, to anybody, is that doing the dialogue with Lara who plays Zelda, doing basically a monologue, and Ori just kind of going this. And, you know, all of that, it was so difficult to shoot because neither of them had shot that to kind of film tolerances. They've done it on stage, but on stage you can get a little way with a little bit of overacting and people forgive it a little more. Mainly because they're set so far away from you, they can't really see it.
Yeah, those are completely different acting styles.
Yeah, but I wanted this moment of where it just felt he was listening all the time and it felt like he had nothing to say. Of course, it becomes its own thing in the sense of once you do it for extended periods of time, he just doesn't speak. And so it was really, really difficult because Ori was kind of like feeling he wanted to do a lot more. And we've shot films before and he's never kind of had the reactions like this before. But also it didn't help that he had an acting tutor sitting in the background. And just like, it's all like, forget it, I was like, I've come to see your work. And he's like, I'm not really doing anything. So, you know, I'm trying to do stuff. And I'm like, no, do less. And, you know, and kind of looking at that and kind of putting it together. But I felt that it really gave the film an identity, that gave it an originality that you wouldn't have from another medieval film. Like, why would you watch this film and not play the game, or play the game, you know, or just watch a film on its own? And I really like the idea of a boy without a voice and a fairy without a face, and together they go on this journey. And it's about them reacting to each other, but they communicate in very different ways. Right. And so I thought it gave it a strength for me that it was willing to put in the work to try and work through, that I thought would give it an identity that other things wouldn't have.
Right. I thought it was interesting, or at least this is just my take on the trailer, how you didn't have Link speak, but to get past that, you have sort of had Navi speak for Link. That way, Link kind of gets a voice, but it's not really Link's thoughts, it's Navi, but I somewhat get the feeling that they share the same thoughts when it comes to certain situations.
Yeah, that's exactly kind of what I was going for. It's not that she speaks magically for him. It's like literally she says something and we cut to a close-up on, and with the idea of montage that you formulate a story through that. You know, but then it's like with this scene, it was done for a very specific tone. It was done to build the relationship between those two characters, sure that was possible. Through the rest of the script, Navi's got a lot more bite. She's basically the comic relief for the script, but she's very sarcastic, very inappropriate, which creates for great scene dynamics where, like, you've got that whole bit where she's kind of speaking for Link, making things go smoothly, and because she's so inappropriate, she'll say then something inappropriate, and then Link will go. One of the examples is like when they first like meet Zelda, and Zelda's doing a lot of talking. They're 10 years old, and they've just come out of the forest, and they don't really know anything. They're very green, quite literally and figuratively. But you know, Navi just goes to Zelda. She's asked to go on this quest. She goes, "So you want us to go fight some Dungeons and Dragons?" And she's like, "Oh, dragons don't exist." It's like, "Yeah, Link, dragons don't exist." And then flies off and he's like, "What? I haven't said anything." And she's now blamed him for what happens. And then, of course, we have a dragon exist later for another comic bit. It kind of, I put Volvagia in there because I really liked that it was a Chinese dragon. Right. Rather than that. I thought that was really inventive when I played the game. And I was just like, oh, that'd be really cool. I've got to have a dragon in a sword story. Haven't I? You know, like, there's got to be a dragon in there. So, yeah, so I kind of put this all together. And her speaking for him is really a mechanic, but it kind of, I think it works.
Yeah, I think it's the best way to keep fans on both sides satisfied, because there's very few fans that just don't care, but then there's like thousands of fans that would love to see Link speak, and then there's thousands of fans that thinks he should remain silent. So to keep both sides happy, you found a nice medium.
Thanks. I don't know how many people want to see Link stay silent at the moment. I'm very aware of how many people wanted him to, wanted him to speak. But I felt the argument was kind of like, I remember there was this war that it was very quickly not about my film anymore, broke out in the comments. And what I hated was it was on a really negative comment, so it just got pushed to the top. So everybody sees this really negative comment at the top, and I was like, "Oh man, you couldn't have just let me have the good one stay at the top." And I have a comment, like a Twitter war in one of those. But no, basically what happens is it was the argument was that, you know, the kind of esoterica of saying that it's a gameplay mechanic that you only get if you're a fan and you follow Nintendo and stuff like that, because you only get the confirmation of that through knowing that the directors of the game and the producers, that's what they intended. And then there's the thing of somebody just saying, but he doesn't speak in the game. And it was literally like this, and it was literally like two people arguing, one with a green pen saying, this pen is green, and the other with a red pen saying, this pen is red. And it just sounded like, this pen is green, this pen is red, this pen is green, this pen is red. And I was kind of like, okay, well, you're making my film more popular on YouTube through the algorithm, so keep arguing. Yes, this is great. But I just felt that there was no kind of middle ground where people could meet. And I actually commented that Bastian plugged the film on his thing, so thanks, Bastian. But, you know, like there was this kind of thing where I addressed it in a quick comment on there saying, the reason I thought it was important that he didn't speak was the atmosphere of the character that you play in the game. The idea that the technology in games has changed since it was in the 80s, that it's now become a joke within itself, a parody within the game, but Nintendo would even comment on it. And so it is part of the character, and it was very important to me that if we gave him a voice, that he didn't feel like an imposter in a Legend of Zelda story, which is the feeling I've got, even when I've seen good parodies, I like parodies, I think very well made, and fan films, I've always felt that it's another Excuse Me Princess. And I just wanted to kind of make The Legend of Zelda as a film. I wasn't making the stories of Esmeralda, you know.
Right. It's funny that you mentioned Bastian because he actually used to write for Zelda Universe.
Oh, really? Okay, cool. That's also good. Yeah, I think he had mixed feelings on the video. It's like, great. I was hoping you'd love it, but you know, but you can't. Like, as long as people are honest, that's all you can ask for. So when they do enjoy it, it means something.
All right. Do you have any questions, Simon? You've been kind of silent the whole time.
He's the link of the conversation right now.
Yeah,
exactly. That's actually what I've been thinking. I'm like, maybe they don't want me to talk, you know? But no, I think I've enjoyed the discussion we've had so far. I'm not sure if I've watched the film that Oliver made, actually. I saw one recently.
Well, that means that you don't like it yet. You can't say, I don't like it. That's pretty good. I like it.
Well, I did see one recently. I'm not sure if it's the same one because I don't remember a table scene. Just right. The one where Link is on the horse riding.
Yeah. No, yes, that was done like a week before.
Okay.
And I'm gonna have no proof and no evidence. Say, oh, they stole our reviews. They stole all our reviews. That's why we got none. You know, it wasn't the fact we did a dialogue scene in a room that no one was interested in. No. You know, yeah, I thought that I really kind of liked that. I was kind of very aware. Like, I was very aware that the Zelda project was doing stuff because I was researching stuff as I was writing, kind of on everything, and I've subscribed to pretty much everything. And so, but they didn't know I was around, so I thought it was like, I see this guy, and I was just like, I've got some product value too. Like, what a piece of crap this guy is. But I mean, but I kind of liked what they did, and I kind of thought it was kind of interesting that they kind of got a GoPro on a quadcopter, and they got those sweeping shots, and the effects were good as well. I mean, the mountain at the end, I was like, this is actually quite impressive, you know. So, yeah, look forward to seeing what they make.
Right. Well, I think. The reason I liked your videos so much is because every time, whether it is a parody video or someone trying to make a serious fan film for The Legend of Zelda, it always involves some sort of cheesy action or Link standing on a hilltop looking off in the distance and they have some CG backdrop. But with yours, it actually gives a sense of drama to the film. Even though it's only a few minutes long, you get the feeling that there's evil present in the world, instead of just like, oh, that mountain's on fire in the distance. You just get the weight of Ganondorf's coming, and you have to try to stop him. Like, you actually feel the weight through the conversation without any visual effects. So whoever the actress was that played Zelda, and I'm guessing the lines that you wrote matched perfectly together.
Yeah, well, first of all, I'm very glad that all came across to you, because that's kind of what you want. That's exactly what we wanted, actually. When you wrote the article, we were all kind of like said it to her, I was like, you gotta see this. Because it was very complimentary, so I was like, thumbs up for that. And also, but it was exactly what we wanted to get across. It wasn't just, I liked it, and liked it for very different reasons. It was, you liked it, but it was exactly what we'd intended to come across when we made it. Lara isn't, I don't think she'll hate you saying this, Lara isn't a big gamer. So it was kind of a big crash course in Zelda very, very quickly. Because it comes across, it comes across very quickly if they don't understand what they're saying. And so we always try to find the human aspect for her and kind of give her that world. I think really she just comes alive in the last kind of minute, where the music just changes and they talk about their history. And for me, I was just kind of like, oh, you know what? If we can make this, as a feature, I think we'll have a good run and stab at it. It's always hard to do exposition, especially when you've only got a 4-minute script. And so I think she's done a brilliant job with it.
Yeah, in a similar way, you said she wasn't a big gamer. I remember reading and watching several interviews with cast members from Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings series, and there's a lot of them that says they've never read the books or really paid that much attention until they were cast in the role.
Yeah. I think this was definitely one of those moments. The reason I looked at Lara, because I was trying to pick people that we would, if this were ever made, and that's a big if. There's still a long road to travel. I'm probably not going to stop trying, but I'll stop for now, and then in a bit kind of go after it again. But the idea that I looked at a picture of her and I thought, if we have her in the big outfit as the princess, I could really buy that visually. And so I don't know why, because we didn't do her as Zelda, we did her in this kind of unmasked chic position where in the story it happens a little differently, in the sense of it doesn't happen all in that moment where she's unmasked and then Ganondorf finds out who she is. I kind of looked at it and I kind of went, at that moment where we take off the wig and we take out the contact lenses, that's going to be a really great moment that now no one will ever see. But in my mind, that was what I looked at. And then we saw her in for a casting, and she just looks gorgeous in real life. So I was kind of like, well, God cannot give with both hands. We are so screwed, And then she comes in and then blows us away with an amazing audition. She kind of really kind of knew what she was doing and had put the work in, even for this 20-minute thing that we did.
Right. I was going to say with her revealing herself, you were referring to Sheik transforming back into Zelda.
Yeah.
All right.
That was kind of it. And so, I kind of looked at it and I kind of thought, if I can, if it'll give me that moment. I mean, that's kind of why I kind of thought it would work so well. I don't really focus on, I know the games, they don't have to, so I'm their crutch for that. And if I feel that I need to put them in a bit of a boot camp and berate them for 3 days, then, they're lucky people. And Ori was like, the reason I was excited to have Ori on board for Link was he's really good at the physical stuff. Like, I was just watching a thing where people were like, don't do unsafe stunts. Sure. I mean, I did a film with him a while ago. It was an example for students, and we literally so we decided to flip him over a chair with no stunt equipment onto a concrete floor. But I knew he was really good physically. We'd done a couple of things, and I called him up and I said, look, I've written this. This is the only ending that I think is actually halfway decent. Do you feel confident that you could pull it off? He said, well, let me read the script and I'll get back to you. And so he read the script and he's like, yeah, I quite like the script. All right, yeah, I'll do it. And so we worked it and we made sure it was kind of as safe as possible without any safe equipment. And we flipped the chair onto his side, we make sure he's in the right position. But the problem is it's got to be done fast. And that's always the danger, because you won't buy it if it doesn't look dangerous. It's just like, oh, he's just being pushed gently onto the floor. It's kind of like, okay, there's no point shooting that. So you know, I knew that kind of going in. I kind of thought, doing all of the action stuff, we could get the camera closer, we could be there in the moment, where the stunt guys have to do a lot less, which is terrible, because stunt guys are like, I'm not earning any more money for this. This is just the worst thing in the world. But you know, it's better when we can get that camera in closer.
All right. Amanda, Simon, do any of you have any last questions?
Yeah, I do have one last question. You talked about when you came up with the idea to finally do it, you know, when you were drunk. But what was the first action moment where you were like, this is happening? What was the first thing you did that really set it all off?
It was when he ordered a bottle of vodka.
Yeah.
I mean, before you were drunk.
Drew a little Triforce on the vodka and just only shaded in courage, and that was it. No. Yeah, I think it was kind of like when I was calling people up, and there was a very kind man, Christian Mallet, who does prosthetics properly, and I kind of like called someone else. I just Googled up people, and I called this guy, and I was like, I'm trying to get The Legend of Zelda, and I'm putting together a proof of concept scene. Are you interested? And the guy was like, no. But you know who will be interested is Christian will be interested, because he's a Zelda fan. So I called him up, and I was like, are you interested? And he's like, yeah, all right, I do. and so, like, you know, it was still a professional job for him, but he was very kind and kind of like giving us a good deal so we could actually physically get the ears looking like they would do in a proper movie, rather than just kind of something you find down the fancy dress shop. And when I was on set, I was kind of like, can I keep an ear? Can I keep an ear? And they're like, no, they get destroyed every time you take them. I was like, oh, that's crap! You know, that was it. Instantaneous. Like, oh, that's rubbish. I want an ear. Just one. Just put one onto mine.
All right. Is there any last thing that you would like to say about your film or to the audience before we move on to another topic?
No, yeah, I mean, you know, thanks for everybody who's watched it and commented. I mean, regardless of whether the comments are good or bad, it's been kind of nice to kind of set a conversation about it. And I felt the one good thing that I really taken about it, when I went to kind of an MCM expo in London, which is like Comic-Con in London, and I just was talking to a guy in the queue, we're just in this queue, and I was like, you're like me, I'm going to be doing a Legend of Zelda thing. And he's like, oh yeah, no, that'd be terrible. I was like, no, this is going to be great. We wanted to see this. Yeah, we're going to the sword, and it'll be great. It's going to look really good. And he's like, no, I don't think you should do it. You should stop making that right now. and he literally said to me, it wouldn't be possible to do it. You know, he just didn't think it was possible. And what I thought was nice about the conversation was now, not that people thought that it wasn't possible, that it's moved on to what they would like to see in it if it were made. And so it's kind of moving some traction forward. But, you know, thank you guys at the universe for kind of liking it and sharing it and, you know, reading my last moment ramblings, Jesse.
Well,
I got given a 9 out of 10 yesterday. I was like, yay! Because it was the first draft.
Oh, right. Yeah, he sent me the ending for his script, and I gave it a 9 out of 10.
All
for,
right.
That was all right. But my first comment, though, was, what do I have to do to get a 10? You know, that's what I wanted to know, you know, straight away. But I was kind of pleased it came across well, because I thought, after, you know, reading all the comments, like, I just, as I read it, because I read it out in a bit of a novel form, so it gave more of an idea of what the ending would be. I kind of went, shit, I've changed a lot. You know, you may love the scene and go, oh, don't make a feature, just leave the scene the way it is. And so this was, you know, again, the neuroses of doing creative stuff and putting it out there as soon as you press enter and send it. So kind of pleased that, you know, you controlled it to some degree. So thank you.
Yeah, like I said, without giving too much of it away, just the battle scene I felt needed to be expanded upon. What you had was good, but
No, I agreed with you. When I wrote it, I was like, well, when I came up with it as a lofty creative, I was like, I'd really like an anticlimax. I'd like to have Gandalf be so powerful that the thing has to be quick and ingenious. And then I wrote it, and then the aftermath felt very empty. And I was kind of like, maybe I need a little more. So when you were like, I really need a sword fight in there, I was like, yeah, we probably do really need a sword fight in there. And so, and I think I know where it can fit. So if I let it mull in the back of my mind, hopefully I'll come up with something that's not just parry, parry, thrust, parry, parry, thrust, parry, thrust. It's a little more in depth than that.